Crypto's eating shit right now.
Crypto?
Yeah, yo, like
This works, right?
almost 400,000 margin calls just happened in the last 24 hours.
What the fuck, bro?
Yo, the largest margin call was like 27 mil. Who the fuck is leveraging that much money to try to make money on crypto? Like, that's insane. Who has $27 million that they're getting called for?
That's fuck.
This is numbers though.
I know. You think the audio will catch?
I'm not too sure. I don't know where the mic is on that.
Should I have my phone recording like the audio?
That would probably be better.
Right?
Yeah. Because this is the thing, the camera, that's just a bonus for podcasts.
I know, we don't really need it, right?
No, the thing that you could do is your logos.
What do you mean?
You know, the people you're talking to, or your personal like podcast logo, or whoever's podcast it is. That's what I was gonna suggest. So when you have dead air or like dead visuals,
Yeah.
you just flash your logos.
Oh, okay, yeah. We don't have a logo.
Not yet,
No.
but that's what I was gonna bring up. Like I said, so I listen to a bunch of other podcasts, and what they'll do is they'll have cameras per person speaking.
Yeah.
This is like high production. Like they've been doing this for
For a
several
long
years.
time, yeah.
So they'll have a camera per person, so that when they get their editor to come back, they'll be able to have all the different camera angles to cut to whoever's speaking,
Yeah.
and it'll keep cutting back to whoever's the one actually on the mic.
Say word.
But I'm not saying that that's where you should be at right now.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah.
like eventually, and because it is a podcast, their community, their consumers are usually just listening to it.
Yeah.
The visuals is just a plus.
They don't even care about the visuals, really.
They do eventually when they go to YouTube.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if you're like trying to get in on Spotify or Castbox or any one of these apps that just do podcasts, it's just a logo, right? So it'll just be whatever is the logo for the whole branding.
Yeah.
But, all this news has just been coming out in the last like 24 hours. So there's this real estate company in China. I think I mentioned it last time I was here, Evergrande.
Yeah.
So they've been on the brink of default since like August, September. People were saying that shit was gonna crash in October, but it actually got delayed because they just kept getting extensions on their due dates, but they missed their payment dates 3 times since October.
Damn.
Yeah, and this is big because it affects the whole world, right? So they're saying like this is one of the big dominoes that's going to start knocking everything over, and before Christmas we could have like a full-blown great reset, like economically.
So my credit, my fucking credit will disappear?
Not your credit specifically,
What
but
I mean, the credit that I owe?
the governments, the countries, right? Because China's huge. China's
So you're
huge.
gonna want to reset, like we don't owe money, you're saying, like that?
I'm more talking the lines like, do you see how like there's a lot of supply chain issues happening right now?
Yeah.
So like things that are being produced in other countries are having a hard time getting into North America because people aren't paying people, right? So like for the last several months, the whole bunch of shipping containers are just waiting on boats in California or outside of California. So they can't even dock the boats to unload their products.
Yeah.
And then the shipping yards are filled with containers that no one's picking up because they can't afford to pick it up, right? This was lining up with all the building materials shooting up in value, all like the gas prices shooting up in value, food prices going up in value. So it's not just inflation, but there's supply chain issues. So if you see how North America and specifically the U.S. has sent out the most of their production to Asia, China, Vietnam, wherever they can get cheap labor for.
Yeah.
Transporting the goods over is another part of the process. So they call that the supply chain.
Yeah.
And when there's issues like this, like when big ass companies, like you heard about that boat that got stuck in the canal,
What boat is that?
the Evergreen. This is several months ago too. So there's this big issue where this huge ship with a bunch of shipping containers got jammed up in a canal,
Yeah.
and it caused a backlog of all the other boats trying to get through. And not only did it get stuck, but it ended up destroying part of the canal, right? Because it was just too heavy. It was just too big, and because of that, there's a whole domino effect of like people that had to pay up. You know, like, yo, you owe this much for all the damages done. And imagine like a bunch of their goods are perishables, right? Like fruits, nuts, shit being sent over, fish.
Yeah.
Yo, all of that shit goes bad,
Yeah.
right? So a lot of the stuff that's being sent just fucking eat shit.
Yeah.
Right, so these are like macroeconomics,
Yeah.
right? But everything's connected because I don't know if you've been seeing on the news since like October, a lot of grocery stores, a lot of like department stores, a lot of different types of stores have a lot of empty shelves. And what they'll do is they'll put a lot of like, they'll put a bunch of boxes, empty boxes, just to make it look like it's full. Or they'll even put like fake boxes, you know, like North Korea has that.
Yeah.
And the running joke where it looks like the grocery store's all filled up, but it's actually all just empty boxes, empty bottles, just to make it look like it's full. But that's happening right now, and it's happening mostly in the States, and it's causing some panic in some area where you know people are overbuying to try to store because they think they're gonna run out of shit. You know, they're buying a shit ton of canned goods, they're buying a shit ton of like bottled water. And there's this fear of, yo, I might not have food. And that's a real thing. That's happening right now. So imagine this huge real estate, like laundry machine. And the reason why I call it a laundry machine is because these guys fudged up the numbers so bad that all the top CEOs and, you know, people in the top part of the company, yo, imagine they're taking billions.
Yeah.
Okay? They're putting billions in their pocket, but they owe over 300 billion US. And it was so bad that they're getting their employees to take out loans for them.
What
Right?
the fuck?
Yeah. So like they're threatening their paycheck, like, oh, we're not gonna pay you out your paycheck or your bonuses if you don't take out loans to help like keep our liquid.
Yo, that's so fucked up, bro.
And
What the hell?
yeah, last month
What companies are doing this?
it's called Evergrande.
Oh, Evergrande.
Yeah, so they've been pretty much on the brink of default for like 2-3 months. Like they just like international bondholders, because this is what they do, right? So if a company has debt, they'll sell bonds. So they sell their debt to get liquid, right? But the thing is, they promise they pay you back, but they don't have the money to pay back.
So how are you gonna get it back?
Well, actually, I just read right before I got in here that the CEO of Evergrande is currently missing. The government of China has summoned him because it's now happening. Like, imagine this company's so big, you know, like institutions in Europe, institutions in the US, institutions all around the world have bought their bonds and they can't pay them back. So imagine if like that's 300 billion, okay, with a B, not an M, right? So imagine if like, you know, 100 billion of that was bought here in the US. They're not getting that money.
That's fucked up, bro.
Yeah, they're not getting that money. So that's money that they are waiting for so that they don't need to print from the Fed. Because every time they print that shit, they're actually making up imaginary numbers. That's why inflation has just been going crazy. So Biden was saying, you know, in the summer, like, oh, inflation is transitory. Like, it's just happening.
Yeah.
But it's not. This is like month 7 that it's been going up and nonstop. Not just in the States, but here, even in Canada. Right? So if you've been doing the same groceries, like the same shit on the list of groceries, if you compare your January receipt to the last couple months and you haven't changed anything that you bought,
Yeah.
It's up like 22% to 24%, almost 30% in some places, right? Depending on what it is that you're purchasing. Okay, and it's not like wages are going up to keep up with inflation. So if you look at the data, since the 60s till now, our money's been inflated over 200%. But income has not grown 200%, right? So imagine like our parents' generations are boosting our like, oh, I used to only make 19,000 a year, and at that point I could buy a house and a car, and support a family.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that 19,000 is more than what we would consider six figures today. Okay, that's inflation.
Yeah.
But imagine like the price of a car back then was only a couple $1,000s. So even the prices of cars now have grown more than our wages. The cost of living has gone more than our wages. The value of money has inflated like crazy. Right?
Fucked up.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen?
So
Fuck.
we don't know. Right? But they're saying the Great Reset. That's what they've been saying since this is like
Since the beginning of all this shit.
since like January, the IMF publicly announced the Great Reset. They want everyone to be vaccinated. This is part of their plan. This is the crazy part.
Yeah.
And in order to participate in any of their programs, you need to have your vaccine passport.
That's fun.
Okay? So one of the benefits is they'll wipe your debt. Okay? So let's just say if
That's
you
what I was
have,
gonna say. Like if I owe,
yeah, they'll wipe your
it's
debt.
gonna be just gonna go away. So right now I should be running up my credit card.
Not necessarily, because then that makes you a slave to them,
Okay.
right? If you don't own anything, then they don't own you.
True.
But this is more for like, you got outstanding student loans, your mortgage you can't keep up with because of inflation and interest rates going back up. They're saying that interest rates in 2022 can go up 6 times for houses,
Holy fuck, bro.
for mortgages. So imagine all the people who like got a new mortgage or got a new house this year.
Yeah.
This is the government stating this. Okay?
It's fucked up.
6 times what it is right now.
That's fucked, man.
So, you just started, like you just put a big ass down payment and you just started paying your shit. You're gonna pay 6 times larger next year than what you're paying currently.
That's why Kanye is pushing that shit with people should, like, man shouldn't be getting houses. See that shit with Kanye? He was saying?
What was it?
He's like, fuck a house. Like, I don't want to be a fucking slave to these fucking people.
If you can pay for it outright, then there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that is actually one of the most stable assets you can own, or physical assets, right? Like gold bars, silver coins, like real estate. Because look at crypto. It just tanked 40%, some of them, in less
Go
than
lower, you think?
Yeah. Because margin calls, right? Imagine the majority of these stable coins, like the USDC or whatever, those stable coins, they come from China. So there's a lot of shady shit happening right now that these people blew up their companies because of these crypto holdings that they have.
That's fucked.
Right? And they're using that as their leverage for capital. Right? Like, oh, I have this many Bitcoin, and because Bitcoin's worth this much, I can actually borrow up to whatever my value of Bitcoin is.
Yeah.
Right? And if they just make up their own numbers, because the thing what they found with the stable coins is 60% of the time that they were lending out money, they actually didn't have the US dollars to back up what they said they had.
Yeah.
60% of the time. This is now being found out. That's why there's like all of these regulations happening, because other countries that these places are established in, they don't have these same regulations. Right? Or if they do, a lot of this shit is flying under the radar because the internet is global. Right? Like, it is not just locked to one country. It's an international hub online. That's what the internet is, right? Like, everyone can plug in from anywhere.
Except South Korea. Or whatever, North Korea.
Well, not everyone in North Korea is flooding, but yeah, they're training the world's best hackers over there.
The world's best actors?
Hackers.
Oh, hackers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they're hacking, it's not like they're only hacking in North Korea.
Yeah, yeah.
They're hacking other countries. They're hacking other governments. They're hacking other companies. But this news that I'm showing you right now, there's 3 big ass companies that are defaulting in China. All of them in the hundreds of billions.
Which company are they?
All of them are real estate companies. So what they do is they'll take up these projects where they're going to be like making a whole bunch of these apartment communities.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll get all of these people to buy condos or units from them,
Yeah.
right? So they take all their money,
Yeah.
they funnel it to the top of these companies, the chairman, the CEOs, whoever's at the top, these executives. They pocket it as their bonuses.
Fuck.
You know, they're making billions a year
Yeah, yeah.
just for being at the top of these companies. And then they end up defaulting, like they run out of money to build these buildings like 7-8 years later.
Yeah, yeah.
So China demolished like the country. You know, the country demolished these buildings to try to cover up that they're not being finished. You know, there was videos, and it wasn't being put up in China, but people in China filmed it. I'm pretty sure like their social credit just went down because they're pretty much ratting out what the government is doing, right? And it was shown in other news sites in Asia, like in India and in like Singapore, that these apartment complexes are being demolished. You know, imagine like they haven't been constructed on in 5, 6, 7, 8 years. On the promise that these are new homes for all these people who bought in. Yo, they've been going, like, all of these investors, the people who bought units, yo, but they've been trying to find the CEO of Evergrande, like, they're outside of his, like, condo, they're outside of the building of, like, the Evergrande building offices.
He said he died, right?
No, he's missing. Because he has to pay this back.
Wow.
Yo, this guy's a multi-billionaire. The Chinese government was just like, yo, if your company can't pay this, you pay this. Because you benefited from this.
He's a Chinese guy, you said?
Yeah. So imagine the Chinese government's like, yo, we're not bailing you out.
See that? So what is that now?
It's overheating.
So it's done. If I do this.
No, they'll just start a next clip.
Oh. Should I be doing this with this camera, bro?
Not if you want to be using it long term.
Fuck.
Because the camera that we use at work,
It fucked up. I remember you telling me,
yeah,
right?
it was 1 year. Yo, it's a 1 year old camera. We had to bring it there. All the mirror box got seized, and they're saying it's just like, what are you using this for?
For video.
And we're like, mostly for videos. Like, oh, that's why this is a photography camera.
Fuck.
But that's the Canon I'm using, right?
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
you know, like pretty much we're using it 7-8 times a week for video. That's excessive. Imagine that's been weekly for like a year.
Fuck.
Only took a break during winter because everyone's like on holiday.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I'm like, now I'm chilling now. 'Cause, you know, real estate agents are in the Christmas shopping mood.
True,
Like, being with their families.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
as soon as the
yeah.
holidays are done, guess what? They're back. They're up in January. Like last January was actually pretty busy for me.
For real.
Yeah. Like my January was comparable to August. August was a bit slow for me because normally that's when people go on vacations, right? So people go on vacations before school. People take a break in December. So August and December are the slowest months in real estate. And for me, that's fine because I went to cottage with you guys, right?
Yeah,
With Kevin and them. That's when we went to cottage.
Nice.
It was easier for me to take a break then because it was a bit more chill.
True.
But yeah, well, I don't know how this is going to affect the world because this never happened before. We've never seen a crash this big, ever.
Even the Great Depression?
Yo, this is like 8 times bigger than the Great Depression right now. Like how high everything is.
Wow.
Like, I've shown you the charts, right? So if you look at the margin chart, this is the scary part. It's like 10 times higher than any previous year ever recorded in market history.
So what do we do, man? What can we do?
We don't have physical assets. That's the hard part for us,
How do you
right?
prepare for this? Like, what's to come?
You can't hide your money anyway. You can't leave it in the bank because inflation is making it melt.
Mm-hmm.
You can't hide it in crypto because crypto is like eating shit.
Okay.
You can't put it in the stock market because stock market's crashing right now.
So what do you do? What can you put it in?
Nothing. Unless you're buying gold, like physical gold. Buying physical gold, buying physical assets, buying a house.
What about like if it's grow up or something?
The thing is, like, during Prohibition era, you know, alcohol was, bootleggers were making a shit ton of money. So I don't see these industries going away. I don't see, like, look, pandemic, lockdowns, LCBO is a open business.
Yeah, I know, man. And they're killing it.
Yeah, that just shows you how fucked up people are.
I know.
Like, people aren't working with depressed. Like, alcohol's a depressant.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So, like, why would they make that like a priority type of business to keep open during a time when they know people are, like, they're getting fucked over? They can't work. Yo, they cut off EI just recently, or the CERB or the CRB.
No, that shit fucked me up. I'm not gonna lie.
I haven't been on it since like last year because I've been working since last year. But
Word.
one of my homies just told me, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't even know that was still happening.
Word.
You know, and they were saying they got fucked up because the jobs that they're doing right now are just like side jobs.
Fuck.
So they were kind of dependent on that. And that's not free money. You have to pay that back.
I know.
That's the thing that people don't realize. Like, yo, you are getting money now for money that you have to pay back later from money that they already took from you.
What about if the Great Reset happens, though? If the reset happens, we have to pay that back?
If the Great Reset happens, they own you. Right? So this is the thing. The IMF, the International Monetary Fund, when they made their announcement about participating in their program, you won't own anything. You cannot own a car, you cannot own a house.
Who's IMF? They're the ones that did serve?
Yo, these are the people that are above the banks. So imagine, like, every country has a central bank, and their boss is the International Monetary Fund, right? And if you look at who is the participating parties in the IMF, and these are like some of the oldest money in the world, right? Like, their money's been around since money's been invented, type of thing. Think about that. Like, when the idea of banking started, all the families that were the ones loaning out money,
Yeah.
I'm talking about a biblical era, like from time. Like, these concepts come from like Babylon.
Like the Rothschild and shit?
Some of them are even older than this.
Rockefeller and shit?
Some of them are even older than that,
The fuck?
right? Like, there are people that don't want you to know that they exist. The Forbes list of the richest people in the world, that's the richest people in the world that you know of. What if I told you that there's like even more names that will never disclose? They'll never disclose that. One, because they don't want people to know. They become a target.
Yeah,
Right? Like, oh shit, you're the richest man? No, you're a target. People gonna hound you. Okay, give money to this charity, come to this event, or back this politician. They don't want you to know that. Right? Old money is old money for a reason.
And they probably are backing certain politicians too. Though.
You see, you're thinking too small. They run the world. Like, you think that they're just trying to run countries? No, they run everything. Like, the most beneficial thing for them is war.
Why?
It generates the most money.
How?
Okay, let's go back to the Rothschilds, or the
Yeah.
Rockefellers. They funded both sides. All right,
What do they gain from it?
I'll sell you all of these bullets. I'll sell you all of these guns. All right, I'll go to the other side. I'll sell you all of these bullets. I'll sell you all of these guns. Oh, do you know what? I'll drop in a tank or two. Yo, the other side, they got tanks. You wanna buy some planes? You're gonna need more money.
Fuck, bro.
You give me war bonds, right? And they're getting these bonds from the government for mad cheap. You give me these war bonds, so the promissory notes, that you will pay this when the funds are available, and they're buying them for pennies. Okay, they're buying the government debt for pennies from both sides, from Britain, from Germany.
It's fucked, man.
Oh, war's over. Time to collect.
Yeah.
You know what that means? Raise the taxes, spread the losses to the people. That's how it always has been. Who do you think benefits? The one who sold to both sides.
Who the fuck are they though?
You just mentioned some of them.
Oh, okay.
The Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. Like, they're old money, but they're not the oldest money. Like, these are money, this is like family money that's like benefited from war. And war makes the most money.
That's fucked, bro.
We're currently in a Cold War right now. So, a lot of shady shit is happening behind the scenes to try to destroy each other's economies and bring down each other's governments. Right? Like, they're conspiracy theorists who are saying that, like, yo, China could bail out Evergrande and China could bail out the other companies that are about to default, but they don't need to because it'll fuck up these other countries and that benefits them. Right? Like, yeah, their people might be suffering, but it's not the government that's suffering. Right?
It's fucked, bro. So what can we do? Like, nothing.
Well, look at it this
Out
way.
of control.
I personally always go back to consciousness, right? It doesn't directly affect you in that way. Does it? Does it prevent you from being alive? Are you suffocating? Do you not have any oxygen? Is blood not pumping through your veins? Are you not able to eat? Are you not able to be mobile? Like, there are things that they cannot control.
Yeah.
And those are the only things that you can control. Those are the things that you should be focused on. I like to be aware of a lot of things that are happening in the world so that by being aware of it, I'm not caught up when it happens.
True.
Right? Like, if you're just moving through the world subconsciously being affected by this, you're gonna get hit with waves of energy that the masses are producing. Because when shit hits the fan, everyone's feeling fear, everyone's feeling depressed, everyone's feeling angry.
Yeah.
And guess what? You get influenced by their energy.
Right.
But if you're in control of your own energy, guess what? You protect yourself, it doesn't affect you. I'm alive, I'm breathing, I get to eat. Well, your emotions, you feel them, but it's a choice to stay there.
True.
Right? Like, I'm not saying that never be sad or never be depressed. I'm saying when that happens, feel it, go through the motions because you need it, and then move on. What it does is it gives you an opportunity for perspective, right? Like, why am I feeling sad?
Yeah.
How can I feel better? How can I get out of here? How can I go from here to there? Right? And one of the challenges that people who are suffering from mental health issues, what they go through is they believe that they are the emotion. They believe that they are sadness or that they are the depression that they're feeling, but they're not. Right? It's just what they're feeling. It doesn't mean that that's what they are. But some people stay in that place for so long, it affects their biochemistry to the point where they get addicted to it.
Yeah.
Have you seen people who are addicted to being angry?
Yeah, like my mom.
But this is the thing. Now, by being aware that people get addicted to how their body feels, and they've done it for such a long time, you become compassionate because you understand that they're stuck in this loop of addiction. Right? I feel bad for you. Right? Like, I feel sorry that you are stuck there. You were not able to realize early enough that this is just a temporary state of being and that you don't need to stay there. But if you stayed there for so long that you feel like you need it, and it feels awkward when you're not there, then you look for things to be upset about, to be angry about, to be sad about.
That's so fucked up.
But it's a choice, right? And the thing is, our generation has access to information that our parents' generation did not. So that's like another thing that, like, hey, it's different, right? And I can't say it's good or bad because look, their generation paved the path for our generation. Without them, without the minds that came from there to invent all of these things, we wouldn't have minds that picked it up and pushed it even farther. Imagine cameras have been around for over 100 years. From cameras, it became moving pictures. You know, for moving pictures, we went from analog to digital. You know, none of those things would have happened until the first person to start making the idea of a photograph, right? So the legacy of the world continues to move forward with every generation. Yeah, there's a lot of negative things, but you also have to see, you know, look at all of the amazing things that have come from hardship, that have come from challenges.
You're right.
So it's just the mindset.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't share these things with people to scare them. It's not my intention to be like, yo, the Great Reset, you should be fucking scared for your life. Like, no, guess what? That's what's happening in the world. But if your mind has been prepared, it doesn't really affect you. Because look at all the new money that came out of the Great Depression. Right? They saw opportunity where people saw despair.
Yo, how can we bank off this?
Yo, think about the pandemic starting last year. You know, all the new creators that came out last year?
Yeah.
All the new YouTube channels that hit 1 million, that hit 100,000, that hit 500,000 subscribers, that weren't even, they weren't even there in 2019.
You're right.
There's opportunities everywhere. Right? And that's the thing. When you're focused on the lack, you don't see it. Because how can you see abundance if you live in lack? But if you are, you might be in lack, but you see an opportunity to grow, then guess what? You only see the path to keep moving forward to get back to that place.
Nice trip, bro.
It is. But look at it this way. If the pandemic didn't happen, it wouldn't have put all of these minds in such an uncomfortable place or give them the time, because a lot of people didn't work, to think about things that actually matter, right? You know, people were rioting, people are still rioting right now. They're protesting against lockdowns, against vaccine mandates, against like mask mandates. And do you know what that's showing you? You know, there's people who are realizing that they don't want to be oppressed or controlled, and they're standing up for it. But that would not have happened if it didn't get this extreme.
Fuck, man. I know you're right.
So that's like the silver lining, that people are becoming aware, people are becoming awake. Yeah, a lot of bullshit had to happen, but guess what? That's out of our control. It's not our choice that this virus is going around, whether it be nature or man-made, it doesn't matter. It's happening, right? Whether people believe it's real or not, guess what? The media is making it real for people. And if you don't study psychology and if you don't understand media, because this is the thing, I went to film school.
Yeah.
And the first study we had in film school about the history of film, its use was for propaganda. Okay? It's not for making movies or stories that move you emotionally. No. It was used for scare tactics. So there was this film that we studied, and there was a famous scene called The Stairway of Odessa. And in Russia, they made this production where it looked like a village was getting raided by an army with tanks and soldiers and explosions and people getting killed. And like there's this one scene where this lady's pushing a stroller, and then she gets shot up by some soldiers, right? And she's all bloody, and she ends up falling down the stairs. And you see this stroller like just falling down the stairs, and like people were shocked because like in your mind that there's a baby in there, a helpless baby falling down the stairs. But guess what? It was all staged.
Wow.
So they went to the next village that they wanted to clear out,
Yeah.
so that they can run their like military exercises. And all they did was they showed them this film. The whole village cleared out.
What the fuck?
This is the power of media. I want you to understand this. They did not need to bring the tanks. They did not need to bring the soldiers. They just brought in a person to play this video and saying like, holy shit, this is happening to that village, like not even this far from us. They're on their way here. They're coming. They're gonna kill us. But if you were critically thinking and you understood film, then you would be like, who the fuck would take the time to film this in a fucking like raid? You know, like bombs are going off, people are getting shot up, but yo, the cameraman is gonna post up in front of these stairs and watch this lady just get murked. You know, and like move the camera to down the street and watch this tank blow up this building. You know, and move the camera to the central square and watch these people get shot up. Like, who's doing this? Which cameraman is brave enough to stand there?
That's fucked, man.
Right? Like, this is a critical thinker that's asking these questions. But like back then, they didn't understand film.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't understand the power of media. But do you know what? Once they saw this power, holy shit, they ran with it. Yo, psychologists started studying the influence of media on people's minds, whether it came from a newspaper or the radio or moving pictures.
That's fucked up, Ron.
Yeah, the
I'm
same.
saying them right now.
But look at
It's
this.
happening right
The same
now.
thing that they had the ability to use. You're using it yourself.
Yeah.
Now you're using it as a platform for your podcast to share this information, right? To share these stories.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I've realized is humans are fucking resilient. Yeah, we do a lot of fucked up things. Yo, but we've done a lot of amazing things too.
Yeah, you're right.
Like whenever I see a plane in the sky, it's just like, yo, how much does that thing weigh? How the fuck is that thing in the sky?
Yo, for real.
You know, how is that thing even flying, carrying that many people or that many things on it?
I know.
And then there's someone skilled enough to take it into the air and then to bring it back down safely. Right? And people yet have to complain like, oh, my food's taking too long to fucking cook. You know, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Yo, we live in a time, because this is the information era. We have more information and access to information than we've ever had, that we know of, for all humans on this planet. But this is also some of the most fucked up times, and a lot of dumbass motherfuckers out here. But it's just, to me, it's like a big comedy show, because I know that we're all one, right? And all of these different perspectives have to live all of these different experiences. Guess what? They have to make mistakes. They have to fuck up. Because we learn through that shit.
Crazy, man. Everything's so tricky, bro. Everything's been tricky. We need you on the next podcast, man.
Yeah, your homie seems like a cool fucking dude.
Yo, you fucked with him. And he fucked with you too.
Has he cut here?
No.
No.
He just stuck with that name, bro. He's not active right now. But man just called him that, you know?
Yo, his stories are crazy though.
Crazy.
His life experiences, it's like,
He lived a different life still.
like when I think about my life, because he's only like probably 5 or 6 years older than me, right? So I consider like my generation, because I'm like 4 years older than you. You're still part of that, what I consider the bridge.
Yeah. I
Right, so,
agree.
like-
I agree. That's what I was saying.
Our parents'
That's how I
generation,
imagine.
like our parents' generation, they lived in a fully analog world, right? So everything in their generation was analog.
Yeah.
We witnessed and were a part of things becoming digital,
Word.
right? Whereas the kids being born now, they don't even know what the fuck analog means. Like they're born and iPads are already existing, the internet's already here. You know, like people can have these online social communities. You know, we didn't have that. We were the ones who were the test. We were the beta testers for chat rooms, like MSN, ICQ, fucking AOL Messenger. All of that was us. That wasn't our parents. They didn't understand that shit, right? Like people in their generation thought that shit was a fad. Like it was gonna eventually just disappear. But this is the thing. Just look at video games, okay? People who played video games in the 70s and the arcades and shit that were like really interested in that stuff, they ended up going to develop it even further. They pushed it beyond what it was. And then guess what? They inspired a next generation who then grew up and did the same thing. And now we're at the point where we have fucking graphics that look like we're just watching videos. Right? That we have virtual reality, or like we're on the cusp of the metaverse coming about.
That's crazy, bro.
Right? Like you ever watch Ready Player One?
I have, yeah.
You know how they talk about like the world is so shit that people just want to live in the virtual?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think we're headed?
It's kind of fucked up.
It is. That the virtual world, because okay, there's some bodies of government that believe like video games is like drugs for your spirit.
Like which ones?
Like China, that they're limiting. China has been. They don't allow children under certain ages to play video games, and the adults who do participate, they're only allowed a limited amount of time. The laws over there are mad different.
Because it's a communist country.
Yeah. Right? Like, to them, video games is like drugs for your soul. Right? Like, it eats away at your spirit. Because if you think about it, because I play a shit ton of video games too. Right?
Even right now?
Yeah. That for me, like, that's another way of experiencing stories.
Yeah, you're right. That's why I like San Andreas
Well, I consider that as a work of art.
and Final Fantasy.
It took how many minds to come together to create this,
For real.
right? So it's a collaborative effort. Yeah, there's a lot of processes involved in order to get it to the masses, right? A lot of profit to be made by creating these. But you can't say it was done without passion. Because the people who went in there they grew up loving video games themselves. Or why would they get into the industry of working there?
Yeah.
Right? Like it's long hours. It's a fucking grind. There's deadlines to meet. Right? And like, yeah, there's some corporations that have taken it too far and put in these like microtransactions and like gambling type of systems in there. Like these gotcha systems and shit. And like, they get kids addicted to spending their parents' money on this thing.
I know, man.
Right? But
Fortnite.
But this is the thing. That's where the virtual world is going to. Like I was saying, like Ready Player One, right? Like when things become unique online, like these NFTs.
Yeah.
And let's just say, there's only like 100 people who own this thing in the metaverse.
Yeah.
It becomes exclusive. I'm the only one that has a Gundam Wing skin, or I'm the only one that has this specific DeLorean car.
Or Jordan 1's metaverse.
Yeah. The same thing with like how rare some shoes are and like Pokemon cards and shit like that. Same thing's gonna happen. It's transitioning digitally.
Nike just trademarked Nike in metaverse.
Yeah.
So that no one fucking uses Nike shit.
Yeah, because they're
Or makes
imagine when NFTs were on the rise in like 2017. They patented CryptoKicks.
Fuck.
Like they already have an idea to have a token per shoe
Yeah.